also want to say that England to me looked like a team that most of those players have been completely banged up, but they still tried and they won 4-2 in their match against a very decent Croatia side. Hello, good evening. This is Taiwo Nojobi, your host on Lanonasis Maple Sports. You know we like to bring you unfiltered opinion, sharp analysis, and some big love for Canadian hoops and ice. Today we're just going to be diving into the World Cup directly, looking at the trends, controversies, and the power dynamics as the case may be. Looking into the world of football generally. Before I go into that, I want Emmanuel and Josh to just introduce themselves, then we just dive right into it. Yeah.
Thank you, Taiwo. Happy to be here today with you guys to discuss our favorite game. It's been an eventful week of World Cup games, so looking forward to our discussion today.
Yeah, thanks, Taiwo. Yeah, it's good to be here to talk about World Cup, and we've had the first round of games, I think. So, it's nice to be here to talk about this World Cup that we're watching, which seems to be interesting, right? It's gaining steam. So happy to be back here.
Okay, thanks so much for that. And I think it's also good for us to just start with the most recent match. There happen to be so many matches that they just finished the first round of matches yesterday. And I was like, a team like Portugal just got to play their first match 2 days ago. Yeah. And imagine when the World Cup has started. So it's just a function of the number of countries that are represented. So before you get to play your first match, a lot of matches had gone. And, Argentina had to play their first match also, I think, 3 days ago. And that was when Messi had an hat-trick. And, so it just looks like there are so many matches. And we're going to look at some of the tournament dynamics that are going on. But for me, some of the words that I just like to throw out there is the most striking contradiction, especially in the record of this World Cup. They've had about 8 of 16 draws. Out of 16 games, they've had 8 draws. And for me, it just shows that there's a bit of caution. And it's almost going to similar, trends that we are seeing in the Premier League and also in the leagues across all those countries. They are a bit cautious in the way they are playing, because all you just need to do is get 3 draws for you to even have a chance of qualifying to the next stage, which means don't lose any game at all. Just have 3 draws and you are most likely good enough to get into the round of 32. But this is what it suggests to me before I, push it out to you guys to give me your view. Teams are becoming a bit more tactically cautious from what I'm seeing. And for the matches I was able to catch up with, and, it's a bit difficult because there are so many matches being played at the same time, especially at this group stage. I'm seeing a lot of that. Now, because it has been expanded to about 48 teams, I'm looking at more reduced risk. Big teams are beating the smaller teams massively. Germany was able to do a 7-1, against a smaller team. And because of that threshold, I'm seeing that there's a lot of mismatch. And, a couple of teams have also made us proud, like Ghana was able to come up with a win. DR Congo was able to, get the draw. And Spain was not even able to do, a lot, like what we really expected. But it now comes to the first set of questions, trying to look at the domination itself. Do you think these early wins, like Germany was able to do 7-1, USA was able to do 4, Sweden was able to do 4-1 as well. Do you think it indicates true strength, or they are just a result of uneven mismatches? I want Josh to just give me his idea generally, because today again, we just watched Canada dismantle a Qatar team 6-0. They had a coach, a Spanish coach for that matter. That's why I was so disappointed in the Qatar team, who is Lopetegui. Lopetegui is a top Spanish coach. I still remember the season he went, I think 2020, when he went to win, was it the Europa League with Sevilla, after he was laid off. And he had a brief stint, I think, in West Ham also. Then later he also coached Wolves.
Yeah.
And before he now went to, start to coach Qatar at the country level. But generally, just give me your view. These dominant early wins we are seeing in this first round, does it indicate true strength of the team, or is just mismatches, uneven mismatches generally?
I think it's a bit of both. And again, this is a broader topic to what we discussed when we're doing the preview of the World Cup, of the expanded number of teams, the 48 teams we have now. Is that going to improve the quality or just quantity? And then we talked about, it's a bit of both, right? If you ask the Curacao fans now, players, or the Qatar players and fans, do they mind the 7-1 drubbing or the 6-0 drubbing? They don't mind. They just being in the World Cup is
It's
a
enough.
satisfaction for them. So it's we, the neutrals, who are watching it, that are looking at it from the prism of it's a mismatch. But for those players, they would never forget that moment in their life, being able to represent their country in their first World Cup. I mean, I know this is not Qatar's first World Cup, but the pride to represent your country at the biggest of stages supersedes what the results might be. So a lot of these teams are coming to play just those 3 group matches,
Yeah.
but it's going to live in the memory of the country and those players for life. And to them, that's what it is. To us, it might not be what. I mean, you saw how how emotional it's been for coaches. I don't know if you saw even the Curacao when they
Yeah.
1-1. You could see the fans, the players, how I so that's just the feeling, and I think we can't take that away from those fans and those teams and those players. So I think at the end of the day, we all know how group stages are. Even before 48 teams, even when we had 32 teams, we still used to get this kind of result. Hell, even in quarterfinal, we got Germany smashing Brazil 7-1, right? Back there. So these results can happen. But I think eventually as the competition progresses, boys are separated from the men,
Separated from the men, yeah.
wheat is separated from the sharps, we would get to start seeing quality football. But I think we've seen quality football so far. It's just, again, only these 2 odd matches that we can say have been high goal scoring, high margin. But I think it adds to the fanfare, it adds to the World Cup, it adds to the glamour and the excitement for the World Cup.
Okay, that's a good one. Thanks so much. Emmanuel, what do you think on this same view? Do you slightly disagree or you just agree based on your view?
So I think I agree with Joshua. It's a mixture of both, better teams and weaker teams playing. You understand? Like the Curacao case, they were happy to just be in World Cup alone, qualifying for the World Cup. I even heard that their coach who got them through the
Yeah,
qualification rounds had
he was crying. Yeah. The
yeah, and the
card
guy
look
was
at him. He was in Premier League before, and he had to sit down to wipe it. I mean,
exactly for him getting him to
that's
World Cup was a major achievement for him. He had to step out because he had some family health issues, and then he couldn't be there all through during the World Cup games. But to qualify for the qualifying rounds, he was there. He took them through. For them, being there alone is a big achievement, and this team know that they know that they can't go far. But now,
Yeah.
Curacao think that they'll go when they have the team like Germany in front of them. Do you understand? Another team is too in that group. They know that they won't go far. So for them, just coming to be there alone, this country has about 150,000 people, right?
yeah, they're just an island off Netherlands, I
Exactly.
think.
So most of those guys will be farmers now.
Exactly. Yeah, so for them, may not be career footballers. Maybe just people who are called. They're like this that way they call you now. Come and play football. Come on, president one. You go wrong. You
But
go
with the
just go with it.
population, they don't feel reach me. With the population of Canada, they don't feel reach me.
Exactly. So that's the thing. So I think this was happy to be there, but the likes of Qatar, which other one? I have the results open here. Likes of Qatar, South Africa, we expect this thing to do better than what they're doing currently, right? So
Yeah.
it's just at the end of the day, the good quality teams always go through. At the end of the day, after the first round, you find out that some weaker teams, of course, will go. But by the time you finish the round of 16 or round of what it will be round of 20 or something.
It's going to be to round of 32 now.
Round of
Round
32,
of
exactly.
32.
So they keep on dropping like that, and that's what you get in the World Cup game. It's just what it is, right? But although we've seen some very good results, like Argentina against Algeria 3-0, that was a result that nobody expected. I don't think anybody expected that it to be that much,
To
right?
that much, yeah.
At that game, you could even argue that Messi could have been out of that game before with that tackle he did at the start of the game. If he wasn't there, if Argentina was 10 men, it would have been a different result today if they were one man down. So those things too always come up. US against Paraguay. Paraguay is a strong team when it comes to football. At least historically, they've had some good players, right? Come out from Paraguay. Losing 4-1 to US, that was an interesting result. But overall, these things are going to keep happening, right? You see, there will be stronger teams pulling through. The weaker teams will get dropped off at some point, and that's what it is. Like we saw Qatar today, right? Even as I don't think Canada is a great team. Let's face it, right?
Yeah.
Being able to put 6 past Qatar. I mean, they were two men down. So
2 men down, yeah.
I didn't expect anything less than what Canada did today, but overall it was a good result for them. So you're going to see these things happening. Bigger teams going through the smaller ones, in the World Cup at this stage.
Yeah. I think it's also a reflection of some of the new rules that are coming up, and we also discussed it last week, because right now the number of red cards have also increased. I think Joshua was the one talking about the number of red cards we had in the last World Cup. Just this first round alone, we've almost doubled that number.
Yeah.
compared, if you try to add the match that we had today, the
Yeah.
Canada match today, with two extra red cards, then it's becoming outrageous. It means that there's a lot of scrutiny on everything that happens, and a lot is really happening. This also takes me to the second question, and leading to that question, I can see clearly that there's still a lot of draws. We've had the highest number of draws also at this stage. And for the wins that have happened, we've had the highest number of goals as well, just for a first round.
Mm-hmm.
And it also boils down to the fact that they're playing more matches at this stage. Now there are 48 teams, so you expect that all those things will go up the roof. So it's also an indication of that. But a different blend is the hydration breaks. There's a lot of the water breaks that they're taking. There's a lot of controversy around it.
I don't like it at all.
They're looking at it either as a welfare or a tactical exploitation method. And I just wanted your view on it. If you look at the breaks, there are three major aspects that I did from my analysis. Teams are using it to be able to get a break, especially if they are trying to stop the bleeding. Maybe a team is taking too many goals. That hydration break gives them an opportunity to re-strategize. So momentum can shift. Then it's similar to basketball. You get your some time to talk to the coach again as a team so that they can maybe make some key changes around. Then that built-in pause also kills momentum generally. But just give me what your view is. Do you think hydration breaks is just a management tool for health? Because they're also looking at the fact that the weather is summer. A lot of people are coming from colder European countries or thereabouts, and the summer here is a bit hotter than if you have it in Europe. Or you think that it's a momentum shifting mechanism?
No, I just think it's a decoy that I say FIFA and the Americans have used. For me, I think it's the commercialization of football by the Americans. It's coming under the guise of hydration break. I mean, if it's an hydration break, let it be an hydration break, not a
Advertisement,
not an advertisement or timeout. I mean, almost like it has turned into
basketball,
basketball. Like, this is football, not basketball. So it's almost like it now feels like 4 quarters as opposed to a football game of 2 halves.
2 hours.
Where
Yeah.
and the most annoying thing is you go on the hydration break, and I know, of course, they do the commercials, more money for FIFA. That's the way to get ads and all of that. So that's the commercialization part, which again, I don't mind that. But the part that is annoying is where all of a sudden coaches are coming into the middle. They are bringing their whole tactical sheets, iPads. It's almost like a halftime team talk.
Talked
Right?
already.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, this is not football. Like you said, again, it breaks the momentum of the game. As we've seen so far in this tournament, like how the momentum changes after all of these breaks. I mean, I get it, and I don't think it should be mandatory. I get it when the weather is terrible in terms of
Yeah.
so hot. Then you can implement the addition breaks, and then allow the players stay in the middle of the course. Let the ball boys or the water boys bring in the water packs and all of this that the players need. Let them take what refreshment they need, and then the ball boy takes it back.
Who
Not
takes it
like
back and they continue?
to come out to get tactical decisions or I mean, people actually change their whole taxes just in just the hydration break.
The
And
hydration period.
that is so unfair. Like, that is not really what we want for the game, and it's giving just teams the ability to be able to change things on the fly, which is not what we want. And it should not be mandatory in every game. It should only be in games where the temperature is unbearable and players need to rest, because there are a lot of stadiums in the USA that are air conditioned, controlled stadiums. The roof
Yeah.
are closed, everything is air conditioned. So why do you need an hydration break?
It's true. It's true. It's true. Yeah. But if you look at it generally, US is a highly commercialized country. They are using it. They have about 832 advert slots just for this World Cup. Where are they going to put those slots in?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, they
32
just use it
advert
as
slots.
scope.
You will know that everybody wants to advertise. The World Cup is becoming global. I talked about it
Global.
in the podcast that I did for the New York Knicks that won the basketball championship. And I talked about the fact that sports is becoming a major cash generation opportunity. And the World Cup is at the biggest stage. Everybody wants to advertise. Everybody wants to put their product out there. But let me just allow Emmanuel give me his 2 cents on this. What do you think generally?
Well, I think the idea, right? I know. I think the idea for these breaks, first of all, look at it from the player's perspective, is just giving them the time to cool off a bit, drink some water, cool down before they continue. Because trust me, man, it's hot in the US. I was in the US just over the weekend. I know what it felt like. Even before we left, it was still very hot, even as it was raining. We're seeing something about 33, 35 degrees Celsius. There was one day I was out just outside with just a shirt, without a singlet. I was just making the car, and I was sweating terribly. You understand?
Wow.
So
I
now,
can't remember the last time I sweat without running.
exactly. I wasn't running. I was just making a call outside the house. I was sweating. I didn't want to go inside because I was, or they were cooling in the house. I have a hot one too, but I was in Houston and it was crazy. So I guess if I look at it from that point of view, yeah, I can say it makes sense to have that whole hydration break so that players can go drink cold water, cool down and then continue again. But I agree with Joshua. What is not turning into is now another tactical break, which ideally shouldn't be, right? But then it now depends on what the terms of this break. So I don't know what FIFA would have communicated to the coaches. Okay, can use this break to change your tactics. So at the end of the day, FIFA makes the rules, right? And whatever rules they make, the coaches will always find a way to exploit those rules. That's what you get in football. If you make those rules without being clear, or maybe you make the rules that give them the freedom to do whatever within those breaks, they can always exploit it. And I don't know if they're achieving the objective of the breaks, because this would be time for players to drink water, cool off before the game starts. But right now, I see coaches talking through. Players are not even resting at all. Like there's now a lot of emphasis on the business side of the game rather than on the players who play the game, because these players have played through a whole season of in England 38 games. The ones on the Champions League, Champions Again, FIFA are using it as an advert. I mean, the World Cup is the biggest is the biggest tournament in the world. I don't think there's anyone bigger than the World Cup. I don't know where I think soccer is the most watched sport globally.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
not that sport that a lot of people watch all over the world apart from soccer. You can hockey or whatever in this part of the world, but in other parts, Europe and Africa, nobody watches this kind of people focus on mostly football. So everybody wants to get their stuff out there during those breaks. Everybody wants to advertise stuff. You can see that once those breaks happen, I start seeing adverts all over the place.
Ad everywhere.
Like, what's going on? I thought it was supposed to be going on. What's going on?
Yeah, that's just too much, man.
So it's what it is. I'm so I would say for me, when I see those breaks, I'm like, I feel for the players. They're the people who entertain us, right? They're the ones who entertain us. They're the players they go through a lot to get ready for these games. So, and I think they've had some of them have had a very tough season coming out again. So those breaks are necessary for them. But now the business side of it is what FIFA now needs to explain to us. Okay, what are these breaks really for? Are they for the players to rest, or are they for a business for us to generate more money? Because that's what it's looking like, right? So that's it for me. I mean, I think the breaks are because trust me, man, it's not in the US. You can't compare US right now to what you're getting here. Some parts of the US, not everywhere though. To what you're getting in Canada right now is really, really hot. I don't know what it is like in Africa or other places where the other places are coming from, but US is really, really hot, and I can understand why these breaks are there. But it looks like they're being abused. So I guess there's need for some clarity as to what the rules are. And then some clarity as to what is allowed for players to or the coaches to do during these breaks. Like Joshua said, if it's tactical break for them, if it's a hydration break, let them rest in the center of the pitch. Let the water come get to them. Let them drink the water and slide down and rest for 2 minutes and then continue again. But then, you know how it is. Once you make those rules and give them this break, coaches will always exploit it to their own benefit. One person starts doing and it's not called to others to start. I'm sure these breaks were created. It looks like, if I read it, it wasn't for any tactical break. It was just for players to rest, get hydrated because of the hot weather in the US and other parts where the games have been played. But right now, it's now a tactical break. So there's some clarity as to what the rules really are, and they must make sure that the rules are followed.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks so much for that. But I think before we also go into a soft part of the competition, I also want to say that England to me looked like a team that most of those players have been completely banged up, but they still tried and they won 4-2 in their match against a very decent Croatia side. Now, a lot of people don't understand that that's one of the toughest matches I've seen, and especially looking at the fact that they are both powerhouses when it comes to football. Modric, all those guys. But looking at it generally, I feel that England generally tried their best. Scoring 4 goals against a very good Croatia team is not easy. And these players, most of them have played minimum of 30 games. Most of them across Spain and, especially Bellingham, even though he was a bit injured this season for Real Madrid, but they really tried. So that being said, I'm beginning to see that the World Cup is a bit more, I don't know whether it's correct for me to use the word political, and they're trying to use some kind of symbolic power, this World Cup. And what it means is, this is the first time that FIFA will be allowing the president of an host country to actually present the World Cup to the winner. And that's what Trump is going to be doing. And with that being said, I'm looking at FIFA increasing their flexibility with protocol, and also them being a kind of peace diplomacy tool to kind of bring people together. You will see how much they are doing, making sure that Iran, as they sleep in Mexico, but they fly into the US, they play their match. After playing their match, they have 2 hours to leave the US. The coach was complaining that what is happening is almost like as if people are planning for them. They cannot even plan for themselves. They have hotels in Mexico. they play in the US. Most of their matches will be played in the US. That's why I was even impressed the way they drew that match. No jet lag. As in, you have to look at the fact that they will fly in that same day and they will still play. They have 2 hours and a few more hours to put their things together. They are flying back to Mexico to rest. Now they will fly in again to play their second round matches. Now it now depends on how long they are in the competition because they look like a decent side. For them to have squeezed out a draw in their first match shows that they are very organized. No, so just give me what your points are. Do you think the World Cup is becoming a political symbol, or they are relaxing their standards by allowing the World Cup to become more of a mediation strategy to create peace generally? What do you think, Joshua?
Yeah, but what peace are they creating? What peace? But they are not creating any peace now. Peace would have been if they allowed the Somalian guy to be able to ref,
Exactly, yeah.
or the Iranian teams to have a to have a fair, a level playing field. I mean, I just feel like those things again, and it boils down to for me and it boils down to like it being the rights given to USA and what drove that decision in terms of the amount or the money that was promised to FIFA that FIFA would get or would
Generate, exactly.
generate from, which is going to be probably the highest ever grossing revenue for FIFA at a World Cup. So I think in a way it has handicapped FIFA that they cannot take some positions because of what they've already assigned to do or what, because I feel it's even FIFA's responsibility as the governing body to make sure that all teams are treated fair and equal.
Fairly, exactly.
If we are going to allow Iran to play the World Cup, then there's no need for them to. I mean, I saw the video when they were leaving the stadium after their match, and you would think as though they were escorting Osama bin Laden, right? The amount
Sure.
of armored trucks and police and everybody that was escorting their boss back to the airport to leave, and I'm like, it's really not fair. Like, let them play and let them stay in the US, or they don't play at all. Like, FIFA should be pushing for that fairness, that level playing ground, which is again what we are talking about, football for all, bringing together the nation and all of that. So for me, I just feel like it's been, and I understand from FIFA's point of view also that there's also so much they can do, and I really feel for the FIFA president
FIFA
who,
president, this is one of the hardest tax.
when he was giving his speech in 2025 about awarding it to the US and of how he's going to bring everybody together, join everybody together. And to be fair to him, I mean, at that point, we didn't know this Iran-Israel-US
Everything.
conflict would happen. So we couldn't have legislated for that happening at the time. So if that didn't happen, we probably don't have this Iran issue and all of that. So, and I'm always of the opinion that we should try as much as possible to remove politics from football. But I also know that it's probably more difficult to do as opposed to removing politics from football. But I just love a society whereby we allow the footballers, the players, to just play football and remove the political aspect of it. But again, it is what it is. It is the nature of the beast, and we don't live in a fair world, in a perfect world, and unfortunately things happen, and that's just been what has happened. But I'm so happy that the footballing aspect has taken over some of these controversies. I don't know if we'll talk about the controversy of Thomas Partey also,
Yeah.
Ghanaian team, but I'm happy the footballing aspect has taken over that. And like I said, once the World Cup starts, the football will start speaking, and all these logistical issues will take the backseat because, again, you see all of these past few days, it's all about being Mbappe, Haaland, Messi, hat-trick, and the world has forgotten about all of those things. So at the end of the day, football would win, football would rule, and that's just what I want to take away from this World Cup. But again, it just shows that the whole World Cup being in America, it just made it a bit more difficult. Like you said again, President wanting to hand over the trophy, I'm not surprised. Talking about the elephant in the room, it is what it is in terms of the nature of how he likes to be involved in things and all of that. You've noticed last year or early this year when we were doing the kickoff, he was given a peace award.
Yeah.
I listened to someone, he was given a peace award. It's bombing some people that are coming to play football with them. So like, what peace are you giving? But I was given a peace award. If you remember in the Club World Cup final,
Yeah.
was also
He
remember
was there.
he gave the trophy to James and he didn't leave the podium.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
he was
yeah.
like, okay, they're about to leave the trophy. Can you please? And he's still there
Can you?
and they have to leave the trophy with him there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I saw
he's
that.
just,
Yeah, true.
it's
Yeah,
just in his nature and his character. That's like, being the center of attention and all of that. So I'm not surprised if he wants to be the one to handle. I won't be surprised if he also stands at the podium for whichever country wins the World Cup in the end. So I think it's something we all know, and I'm not surprised really. It's just unfortunately it's they say whoever pays the piper
That's the tone.
dictates the tune. So that's the nature of this US Mexico
institution.
Canada World Cup.
Yep.
Yeah, but I think he's a sports lover. He was also there to watch New York in the. I think it was their game two in the final series, and they ended up losing that game when they came to New York. So I
Yeah.
think he's just a sports guy. He also hosted a boxing match in the White House. He hosted a boxing match in the White House. They set up everywhere and stuff. So I don't know if they've played the match, but I also saw it somewhere that was planning to host a boxing competition in the White House lobby, just outside the White House area. So he loves sports a lot, and I know he used to promote and invest a lot in different sports. But
Okay.
that being said, because you talked about the commercialization, and I just wanted to read out some of the revenue explosions that is going to be happening this year.
Massive.
FIFA is projecting to make about $13 billion in revenue cycle in this massive year alone. And about 8.8 billion of that spread is about 4 billion in broadcasting, about 1.8 billion in sponsorships,
Hmm.
and 3 billion in ticketing and hospitality alone. That is supposed to triple. And that takes it just from 8.3 billion up onto 13 billion. So it gives you an idea that football
Crazy monies we are hearing,
is
man.
now hyper commercialized.
Yeah.
You understand? It's a global industry on its own. It's not even about kicking the ball, it's about what are the other things. Even we that we're talking about the football, money is already coming into it, negotiations are happening. So it means that the sport is really changing.
There's also the rule that you can't any brand that is not the official FIFA, is not part of the
Sponsor.
official FIFA sponsor. If you see
Also, yeah.
players who have headsets on, they are having to cover the logo.
Yeah,
I saw
Is
it,
it?
yeah.
who has
Yes,
wow,
it's true.
he has to cover it. You've noticed even a stadium in the US, the Levi's Stadium, I don't know what city it's in,
Yeah.
because Levi are not one of the brand sponsors for World Cup.
They
They
have to cover it.
cover
Yeah.
cover that logo, and then Levi on their Twitter accounts took a picture of the covered one and put it as now their new brand. So like it just shows you how, and these are part of I'm sure the rules and everything that must have been in the contract, that if we are giving this much money, it has to be only us that are being displayed in the World Cup. So I mean, it is what it is. It's the nature of the beast.
Exactly. So, Emmanuel, I just want you to jump on this scenario of mine. I'm looking at major countries that we expect to experience some kind of fatigue. France, Portugal, and England, they are leading the metrics, especially with the fact that France, just look at France, all the players on their team were very active this season. You understand? Elite players, they were heavily overused. But if you look at their club and country and the demands that they're asking from them, what do you think? Do you think they will still come up short because of this overuse and fatigue? Just like I said last week, I'm telling you that Bukayo is still also going to manage in this competition with an injury. You understand?
Yeah.
Do you think this will reduce match quality in later stages, especially if France, Portugal, and England go far? Or you think that they will not come up short?
Well, excuse me. I think we'll see the impact of this thing. But at the end of the day, these are human beings at the end of the day, right? And at some point they're going to get tired, right? So no matter how they're going to try and manage the minutes. I mean, when I saw Saka didn't start the game yesterday, and as somebody that, of course, on a very good day, Saka is probably be preferred, than to Madueke. So it was great to see that he was rested. And Tuchel came and said that they have to manage his minutes because
Yeah.
you kind of knock somewhere, or he's not fully recovered from the injury he had before. So that means he was playing through pain towards the end of the season,
Yes.
right? When he came back. So it's not just those players alone. A lot of players, like you mentioned, the France players, most of them are from the PSG squad who were there almost all to the when they won the champion. They know what it means to win Champions League. But I think that those, if it's the PSG guys, they play like Dembele. They didn't play a lot in their local league. They played mostly Champions League football.
Champions League, yeah.
So some of those players who were in the French team, I know apart from maybe Mbappe, who else do I know that is in that team? Mbappe probably played a lot of games, right? He played Olise.
Olise too. Olise play a lot of games for Bayern Munich.
So it's going to show at some point, because if they are not well managed, then the day players are going to get injuries in this World Cup. Let's face it, that's the reality. We saw one today with the Canadian player who got leg got broken. That's a serious one. That guy's out of the World Cup. In fact, might not be back to like next year. The way with how that injury was, right? It's going to happen, and then when it happens, what then happens? You're going to have those players who you're trying to rest become the main players. We'll see that impact. Messi was injured, but we're surprised to see him start the game. Three days ago, but he was injured. I mean, from last week or two ago, he put up in one of the games like that. I went out injured. So it will affect the game quality at some point. I believe it will, because these are players who they played a lot of games. Imagine someone playing 50, 60 games in a season, right?
Wow.
38 Premier League games, and then you're playing about 11, 12 Champions League games, and then you're playing FA Cup, Carabao Cup in England. It's going to show at some point. You're going to get tired. I just hope that, and that's why sometimes we argue about the sport and the commercialization of the sports. It's not getting too much. You get to a point where I think people need to look at it and say, this commission are getting too much. There's too many of them. And you know what happened all through the EC? We didn't even mention the international breaks that we have and go play for their countries too. So some of them will play like 2 or 3 games, full 90 minutes or maybe half, and then they come back to their clients and they're the main player. They play all through the games. It's a lot of pressure. I feel for the players. Yes, I know they make a lot of money. They are well paid, but at the end of the day, they're still human beings too, and they need to rest the body. So I feel like it's at some point to be a challenge for the coaches to manage. If they don't start managing it like now, so I guess what you probably see is when they're playing the lesser countries, probably rest the main guys and play the second 11. Maybe if you're playing against a team like Qatar, a team like Caracas, for example, they don't have the quality to hurt you too much. Probably rest a lot of your guys and play the other guys so you can manage their minutes. That's what might see happening. Will it lead to drop in quality? Surely, yes, it will at some point. It will lead to drop in quality. We don't start right now. You're going to see that in later stages when players start getting injured, because injuries are normal. They're going to happen, right? So it's just what it is. I just think that there needs to be an effort from FIFA to reduce the number of games these guys play. Because right now, World Cup is going to be done. And then before you know what season starts, there's no break. I mean, World Cup ends in July, season starts in August. So they barely have 1 month to do their, because these guys don't have time to even spend with their families during games. They don't have time, right? So they have barely a month and they're going to have preseason games too. So the pressure is just like an ongoing thing. It never ends. And then before you know what's up, there will be international breaks again coming up during the season to play for one tournament here or get qualified for the next Euros or the next African competition. It's just like,
lot.
Yeah, I know.
Those guys, they really need to love football a lot, not to feel that it's stressful.
Yeah, because it's just. I heard the other day, Rod was saying they want to go. If I bad person we need to start going on strike. That was like last year. Said they made that comment, and the truth is that, and rightly so, because it's just too much. Just too much.
Except you just get injured and they just rest you. That's all.
Yeah, so that's what it's looking like. So yeah, it will definitely have its toll on the players. We'll see them coming through. We'll see the injuries coming through. We'll see players getting tired, getting fatigued, or not performing to their optimum on the pitch. And what will happen? They have to be rested. What will happen? Quality will drop overall.
Quality will drop again.
Yeah. Just
But if you also look at it, I think Neymar is also in this World Cup, but he's not going to be traveling with them to play in the second round again. So he's going to be missing, the second match in a row in a round where they only play 3 matches to qualify. So it also tells about injuries, overuse of players. Neymar didn't really play so many games because he has been injured for a while since when he left the Middle East and came back to play in Brazil. He's been in and out of injuries, but this calf that he has been managing is still going through rehab, trying to make sure he gets out of it before, or at least Brazil is able to push in and get to the second round. So those are some of the things I also picked up. But far away, about 8 to 10 hours away from here in England, a lot of transfers are happening, and some of those players are on the field as well. If you look at the parallel football ecosystem, especially with preparations for Premier League, Tottenham has started spending some good money, started bringing in some players. The new coach in Liverpool too has started spending some money. He just bought a guy from Osasuna. Did you hear about it?
Yeah,
he just bought a young guy from Osasuna, and it shows that they're already preparing for next season. Bernardo Silva has finally signed a contract to join Madrid. It shows that Jose Mourinho is pushing
he's assembling his Avengers.
He's assembling those guys. They extended Rudiger by 1 year again. Yeah, I think he has also bought 2 black defenders, coming from the Premier League that are disgruntled. He bought one from Liverpool, Konate. So he's beginning to build a team. And Mourinho has always liked black guys, at least 2 or 3 in his team, even with the team he assembled in Inter. You always have Maicon, all those guys. He always has, he had Drogba as well in Chelsea as well. So he has always, anytime he gets the opportunity to bring black guys together that can really help him win, he tries to position himself better. Crystal Palace is also exploring, selling the club to investors. They are, having a discussion at a very high level, trying to see, what can be done just to make sure that their preparation is different.
Yep.
But generally, if you look at the insights, what do you think with the World Cup going on and with European teams that are preparing for next season? Now, some of these players that are playing in the World Cup are going through transfers already. Some of them are going through negotiations. Their agents are negotiating, maybe moving to another team or extending their contracts. How do you think it affects their concentration? Do you think it's completely different for them, or they blank it completely and they're just facing the World Cup? What do you think?
I mean, these guys are professionals. Like a lot of them have had multiple moves already previously. So I think they're going to blank it out because usually, as the way football works these days, the players don't talk to the
They
clubs.
don't talk to
So
clubs, yeah, they have
then the
agents.
only time the player interfaces with the club is when they are to travel for medical. Their agents and their management team agency does all of the talking to the club, just on behalf of the player, getting sure that he gets the right salary, the right number of years, the right performance bonuses, and all of those. It's gonna be the agents doing all of that talking. So, I mean, like you see with Cucurella's move to Real Madrid was pretty fast. I mean, it was even announced on the morning before Spain played their first game, and he started in that game and played really well. So
Really well, yeah.
it doesn't bother them at all. The only thing with the World Cup now being this summer is that it might impact transfers in a bit in terms of how players will be moved and sold, because for players who they would like to purchase now, they would have to buy them and wait till they finish World Cup or after World Cup before they can unveil them or complete the medicals. Most time they will have to. It's almost like we say in Nigeria, you're buying night markets because you have to buy you have to buy.
When nobody is seeing you.
Well, no, but it's because you're hoping now that, of course, these players are fit, so they'll pass the
Yeah,
medical and all of that.
exactly.
Because usually you do that before you announce the player, but because most of these players will be in the World Cup, they will have to be announcing those deals while they are on the World Cup, as long as they finalize with the club and all of that. So that's just the thing. And for people who want to move, players who are looking to move, players like Rogers who might move, Elliot Anderson, plans like this, their agents would have to be the ones doing the work in the background while they focus on the World Cup. And when after the World Cup, whenever they leave, they just go to complete the medicals. But I think transfers will still happen, as you've seen. I think it doesn't open until July 1, but we've seen
July 1.
transfers going, and people are trying to take things very seriously and try to get ahead of the market.
Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. So if you look at it generally, back to the World Cup, we've gone from the shores of US back to England and Europe, where a lot of transfers are happening, even coaching changes are happening. I heard that Mancini is also coming back. He's leaving Middle East and coming back to Europe to finally coach the Italian team. And I don't know why they are going back to Mancini. Italy has
He left them now.
experienced a collapse, a complete collapse.
Yeah.
They've missed the World Cup too many times, and right now they are looking at, okay, they need some kind of redemption. And this guy Jonathan that scored a trick for Canada
He's a Juve.
plays in Juventus. So
Yeah.
this Jonathan guy, I was so surprised that he plays in Juventus.
But they bought
I've
him
never
last summer.
Sorry,
They bought him last summer from Lille. He came from
from
Lille.
Lille, exactly. I didn't even know he's Canadian.
Yeah, I know. I knew.
He's
I knew he was in
No,
Lille. I knew he had left Lille to Juve.
Yeah, he's in Juve now, and he really played well. He scored an hat-trick today.
Yeah.
And I think only him and Messi have hat-trick presently in this World Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good one. That's a very good one. And, this also leads to my next question. Manuel, I just want you to jump on it. In all fairness, you understand, in your own view, do you think 3 draws by a player is enough for them to get out of the group stage? Is decent enough 3 draws to get out of the group stage?
Well, yeah.
You're not winning a single match in group
Yeah, I
stage.
know it's too much. Well, I think it depends on the other results in the group, right? So that's what he would say, because if they have 3 draws and maybe the other team now loses 2 games, right? And they can put 3 draws, they will qualify, because if that's what it is, right? It just depends on the other results. It's not outright qualification, of course. You can't, because there will be someone losing or winning the game. So it depends on what the other teams now play, right? But if you get 3 draws, the other teams now win the other 2 games that they have, and draw, and you just draw against you, you're out. And if the other two two teams win and or one of them wins and scores more goals and gets 3 points and scores more goals than you're out, right? So I see something making it with 3 draws. I don't know if anybody will make it, but
Make it 3 draws, yeah.
it's probably possible.
Which competition? I don't think there's any competition where I've seen 3 draws. Even the Portuguese team that won Euros, their first 2 Euros,
Yeah,
they didn't win at all in the group stage.
they,
They had 3 draws too.
so
We
you
can't hear you, Josh.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that was what they did.
Yeah, they
three
had
draws,
three
right?
draws too.
Ah,
Euros
They
that
ended up
Portugal
winning the
won.
quite slowly in that tournament. They didn't do so well at the group stages in that tournament. They did
Group
They
score
stages,
goals.
finished
yeah.
3 draws. They qualified as one of the best losers, and they went on to
Exactly.
Yeah. So it looks like we may have some of that in
Mhm.
this World Cup as well,
Yep.
where a team will not even win a single match in
Yeah.
group stage and still qualify.
Yeah.
For me, I just think if a team cannot even win one single match in a group stage, is a red flag for me.
And but I see 3 points now. It's like saying you win one and you lose the remaining 2 games.
Lose the
See
remaining
three
two, it's
points.
true.
At the end of the day, right? If a team does those 3 draws and they qualify, it might just be looked at as like what we saw with PSG in Champions League. It started
It's
slow.
true, yeah.
He's lost some. I think he lost 1 or 2 games. They qualified through the playoffs,
Playoffs.
and they went and they won the thing. Portugal too,
Yeah.
Euros some years ago, right? So they went and won it. Right? You just never know, man. Football is so unpredictable. Clubs can pick like in the right now. People are saying the best team so far in this tournament, or with the best players, is actually Portugal. But what have we seen of them in the last game? Right? You saw them not perform very well, but just never know. They might just pick up from the next 2 or 3 games and and probably do or get to the final or something. You just never know. Football is a very funny sport where it just takes confidence, right, to get the result sometimes, right? You may not do it in the first 2, 3 games, but by the time you get to the next stage, you tell yourself, okay, fine, this is now, you lose, you go, right? So they might just try to, force themselves and push themselves very far and get some good results,
That's true. So generally, based on your own view, Joshua, if you look at the Argentine team now, if Messi is not available, do you think that they are still going to be able to even go far in this competition? Brazil was a complete embarrassment in their first match. I was like, I didn't, almost like as if I was not seeing the Brazilian team. I
Yeah.
expected a bit more. Same thing with Spain. But when it comes to Argentina, they required a lot of star power, and that was just all Messi. If Messi is not available this entire competition, do you think they have what it takes to really go far?
I think they have what it takes to win games. I don't know how far they would go without Messi, that X factor, because I think without Messi, they're a good side. A lot of the qualifiers they played was without Messi. They've been managing his minutes even in USA. So that's why you can see he's playing a bit. He's very fresh in the first game that we watched. He looked really sharp. I know he had a knock with Inter Miami before the World Cup, but he looked really sharp. He moved really well against Algeria. It's good to see. And a free Messi, a Messi who is playing without pressure of winning the World Cup. He's already won the World Cup. This is last World Cup. So right now he's just enjoying himself. So everything we are getting now is going to be a bonus from Messi. So it might even be that's even more scary because a pressure-free Messi is a dangerous Messi. So he's not playing with the pressure of delivering because he's already delivered. He's just going to be having fun and it's going to be dangerous. But I think even without Messi, I think Argentina they would do well. I loved how they played against Algeria. They played with a lot of poise, a lot of panache, a lot of vertical passes to break the lines. And just look at the first goal, right? And they moved the ball really well. That's something that Spain didn't do. And they moved Algerians team very well. And of course, Messi now, in terms of he being the engine and the other players working around him, working hard to make sure that Messi is able to be Messi, if I can put it that way. You can see the likes of the DePaul, Fernandez, McAllister, Lautaro Martinez started, Armada doing all of the running, all of the work, and the Messi is free in those pockets to be giving the ball, and then he can conserve them and just do his magic. So that's something that works really well, and it works really well for Messi because Messi, this age, can still come deep. He's still very technical enough to go past players, can pick a pass, can throw a through ball, unlike this the contrary for Ronaldo, who can just stay in the box right now and get the ball so he can score. He can't really do all of those movements anymore. So that's why it's a bit different from Argentina to Portugal. But I think Argentina, they are looking good. I think the performance was just a reminder that, hey, we are still defending champions. We shouldn't write us off yet. And like you said, even earlier also, I think because of the long season, a lot of teams are finding their feet in this first game that we've watched, especially only Argentina, I think, did really well from the start. But look at France. The first half was terrible.
Well, yeah,
Second
yeah,
half,
yeah.
they picked
It's
up.
true.
Mbappe
Yeah.
started. Olise, I don't know what
Oh,
happened in
listen.
the second half. Olise started getting on the ball, and you could see the damage he caused and gave Mbappe goals. England also, the first half was terrible. Their
Terrible.
defending was
Yeah, yeah.
terrible. It was 2-2. And then second half, you saw how the game changed. They scored in like the second minute of the second half. Bellingham, their attacking play was a bit better, and they were able to win the game. Who again did I want to mention? France, England, and yeah. So just some things like that. So they are taking time to get into the game, and we even saw, but Spain struggled, but I think they will still get their form back. But it just shows how difficult
Even Sweden, USA, they played well.
they played really
USA
well. So
surprised me with their 4-1 win.
no,
Was a big
they
surprise.
played really well. It was good movement, good
Good
football,
movement.
good attacking play. Pochettino really got his tactics right in terms of the players he deployed. It was a real good performance for them. So, but again, it'd be nice to see once we start getting to the business end of the tournament to see how
Yeah,
all these teams will fare. But so far so good. It's been a very interesting World Cup, and it's really nice to see we are having a good World Cup.
yeah. That's a good one. I think we'll probably just end with this final question. Just like I said earlier, Emmanuel, we had from our first 16 matches, we had 8 draws. So it means that something is really happening. Do you think these heavy draws that we're having is a sign of tactical maturity, or do you think they've reduced the overall excitement of the tournament because everybody's cautious? I've talked about it earlier, but what's your own view? First 16 matches, we had 8 draws. What do you think?
Well, I would say it's a mixture of a lot of factors, right? One, players getting fatigued. That's one. Good players getting
Okay.
tired and things like that from a long season. And secondly, other countries too are get developing and things are getting a bit better in their football than what is in the past. Right. So, for example, you saw Cape Verde draw against Spain. It took a lot of maturity for them to be able to hold that result against Spain. Right.
Yeah, it was
So
tough.
that was a shocker for me. That result was a surprising one. Right. You expected Spain to pump like 3 or 4 past them, right?
Yeah.
But those guys try. So it shows you that teams are becoming more. You have coaches from all over the world these days coaching in big leagues. Yes, from all over the world playing in big leagues. Before in the past we didn't have players from like countries like Ecuador, for example, playing in the Premier League. So now you have what's this guy's name? This Chelsea midfielder from Ecuador, right? What's his name?
I said
Caicedo, yeah. And you
I
have
said, yeah.
guy in Arsenal,
Incapié.
Capi. So you have
Happy.
players coming from different countries now. So if you look at a country, you might be surprised why this. In fact, you'll be surprised to find out some players who are from some of these countries that we don't know about, right? So
I'd even forgotten that Diaz is from Colombia.
Yeah, it's called
exactly,
now. You had a
I'd
good game.
forgotten completely that it's from Colombia.
exactly, they're from Colombia. So see Sweden having players like Isak
Gyökeres,
and
Isak.
Gyökeres.
It's like,
You're
yeah,
scoring 4 goals past in the World Cup. So
yeah.
you have these things all over the place, right? So it's just a mixture of. I think the world football is beginning to spread around a bit. More countries are getting into the picture, getting more popular players play for their countries. And if, for example, if a country like England, if those boys they will play for their countries, Rice probably will play for Iceland if he wanted to, right?
Mhm.
Saka will play for Nigeria, and that's what we're going to see. We're going to see more players coming from other countries, adding more quality to those squads. Coaches getting more experience, right? From coaching, from watching football or coaching from in other countries. For example, see someone like Ancelotti, who was done a lot in club football, now coaching Brazil. So what does that
Brazil, exactly.
experience now coming? Not just about coaching every tournament, but now it's now from coaching several years of experience, winning almost everything in club football, right? Now he's now coaching Brazil. That's just an example, right? So it's just for me, it's a mixture of all these things. Players are getting better at their sports. Players from other countries are getting more exposure to world football, and then of course even the good ones too are probably getting tired from a long season. They have to manage Messi's minutes. They also need to manage Ronaldo's minutes as well because the guy is 41 years. He doesn't need to play. I don't know. I don't know why he played 90 minutes in that game against yesterday. I know. Probably it's better than whoever they have on the bench. But it's the guy at 41. He needs to manage his minutes. Let him come in like second half or even play 60 minutes or something. So it's just what it is, right? It's just a mixture of all this combination of all these factors, coming to play and leading to this kind of results that we're seeing. And it's of course as time goes on, in the second round, probably we'll see there will be no draws because now teams have to leave. So whether you draw or not, you have to play penalties
Exactly.
to get the result, and so that the teams will reduce. Yeah, that's what it is for me.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. I think news just came in that Lionel Messi's dad is very sick,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw that.
and it may also be a major distraction. Though they are sending messages that he's getting better, but they just said his health deteriorated briefly. But the message they are sending out there is like he's getting better, and I just kind of feel that maybe they are trying to cover some things up. He's probably not healthy, but they don't want him distracted.
Yeah.
So
Because I think even Messi
that
was like last night, because in his interview, after the first goal, he was crying, like he was emotional and he was cleaning his face. And after the interview, he said, yeah, it was not because of, it was not football related, it was personal. And I think
okay.
after today, the news of his father's health has come. So maybe that was one of the reasons why he was emotional after scoring.
Emotional. Okay. Okay. Okay, that's a good one. Thank you so much, guys, for really helping out. We're able to push a little bit. Tomorrow, a lot of action will be going on. We're having United States playing Australia
Oh,
tomorrow, and I think that's a big test for them because whoever wins within these two will most likely top the group. The way
mhm.
it's going. Australia for Group D, they've really showed both sides have won their opening matches. So for me, a win for either side will advance them automatically. And the US men team, they are very strong. They had a strong start. I think they were the ones that started with that 4-1 trumping, and
Yep.
Canada responded well with 6-0 today against the Qatar team as well. So Australia has won 3 of their last 4 games at the World Cup. So what are we saying? They should be able to be good enough to go ahead. In Group C, we'll be having Scotland playing Morocco. Morocco is a very solid. They look very, very solid. They don't even look like an African side. They are playing so well. But they drew their first match, and tomorrow they probably want to try and get on winning ways. Scotland will be entering the match with good form. They've won 8 of their last 11 competitive matches, and they hope to just win more than just one match in an international tournament to be able to look good, even though it's for the very first time they want to try and do this differently. Brazil will be playing Haiti. I believe that Brazil should be able to score at least more than 5 against. So
Hopefully,
that's the only problem
Ancelotti
they
changes
face,
his tactics and his team
because Haiti will be
selection.
eliminated from the World Cup if they lose to Brazil. So they are playing for their life. And Morocco, if Morocco beats Scotland and they are out, they will be the earliest team to leave the World Cup very quickly.
Oh,
And that's as early as just tomorrow.
Hmm.
I
Scotland.
mean, no, that's 28th. So they are playing on Saturday. You understand? So if they lose, they will definitely they'll be out of the World Cup quite early. And Brazil has faced 83 times in international football. They've won 3 games on aggregate. Guess what the score is 17-1 on aggregate. They've met 3 times. There was a friendly game 4-0, another one 6-0, and the last one was 7-1. So when I'm saying that they will score more than 5, it's based on precedence. They've met 3 times,
Yeah.
and the lowest has been 4-0. So I believe that, and Brazil needs a win to be able to kind of cement and maybe give more time for Neymar to get better, and they will probably have him back in the second round. So they
Yeah.
need to win this like yesterday if they really want to win it. So, World Cup, today we had Czech Republic and South Africa drawing 1-1. Switzerland was able to defeat Bosnia. The reason why is because Canada too, they drew with Bosnia. So Bosnia now has just 1 point.
Hmm.
Switzerland now has been able to capitalize on their second win.
Yep.
And the next match of Canada Switzerland is going to be a tough one. That's what it means.
It's
Yep.
going to be fight for who will top the group, I think.
Oh yeah, exactly. So thank you very much, guys. We're able to do close to 1 hour, which is good. We're able to push a couple of things, and see you guys next week. We'll be able to stretch out how the next set of matches are going to be, and we're going to be able to have a deep dive into it. Thank you very much for your time, and have a good, wonderful rest of the day and rest of the week as well. God
All
bless.
right. Thank you
Nice
very
one.
much.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah.